Hey there, book friends! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Caitlin, and this little blob is Tishka, my tired co-host, and today I'm doing a book tag. It's Tag Tuesday. I was tagged by Brian from Adventures in Literature, and I am doing the Spring is in the Air book tag. This was created by Daniela, Uncommon Reader, and Reney from Beyond Books. So let's get on with these spring-themed questions. The first question is called Spring Chicks. Name a book that made you feel warm and fuzzy. Okay, so I think that the book I'll choose is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I came across this book last year and it's just really cute. It's about this female orc who decides to give up on a life of like violence and bloodshed, and she decides to start a coffee shop. She learns about like coffee from traveling in some gnome village. It's like a fantasy kind of setting, and so she decides to build this coffee shop, and no one knows what coffee is. So it's really funny to like watch these little creatures like try coffee and become obsessed with it. They hire this little mouse who like bakes delicious baked goods, and it's just such a charming book. I was just dying over all of the cuteness. I absolutely loved it. So that one definitely makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And I haven't read the second one yet, but apparently this is like a little series, and the next one happens in a bookstore. Let me know if you read it or if you have similar recommendations. Next prompt is called April Showers or Spring Showers, a book that is set near, in, or on the water, or a book that has the word water in the title. I was thinking of doing The Water Cure, but I didn't end up finishing that one. It was just a little too much for me. So instead, I'll choose a book that I just finished last week called Whale Fall by Daniel Kraus. This was like a sci-fi thriller about this scuba diver who gets swallowed by a whale and only has an hour to escape before he runs out of oxygen. This book was, very intense, but also very hard to read. It's a great story, but there's just so much scientific vocabulary that you have to work through, whale anatomy. I'm going to talk about it in my monthly wrap up in April. But yeah, that was definitely kind of an out there book for me. Not really the type of thriller that I usually read, but I didn't want the hard vocabulary to like get in the way of me being able to read this story. The next prompt is called Spring Break. Talk about a time you took a break from reading and why. I don't really have a great answer for this one because I feel like I didn't really get back into reading until maybe like the pandemic or even later. I feel like I just kind of stopped reading for fun when I was in school and like busy with extracurricular activities. And it wasn't until like a few years ago that I kind of like rediscovered that it's actually really fun and that there are genres that really speak to me now as an adult. I'll probably do like a video in the future of what I think really got me back into it. But one of the biggest catalysts, I think, was my parents getting rid of Netflix, and I couldn't use their account anymore. So let me know if you'd like to see a video of that in the future. The next prompt is called Swallow's Homecoming, a book or author you always go back to for comfort. Well, I'd say most of what I read is kind of on the scary, thrilling side. But I wouldn't say that that kind of story is like really like comforting and cozy. It's just like what entertains me. So I'd say Leanne Moriarty, like I can pick up any of her books and just enjoy it because the writing is really good. I love her characters. I just think she's such a great writer. And fun fact, Helen from Best Book Forward is doing an interview with her. I think she's already done it, and she asked people to submit questions for Leanne, and I got to submit a question. She said she's going to try to include it, so I'm excited to hear them talk on the podcast, and maybe they'll get to my question. So very cool. The next prompt is Blooms, a book that started slowly but blossomed into one of your favorite reads. I think I'll go with The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This book is amazing, but it's not an easy book to read. It's super long. There's a ton of characters to keep track of and a bunch of different eras. And it takes a lot of patience, and I couldn't read it just before going to bed because I would be like too tired and not notice all of the little details that you really need to follow. But it's such a great book. It was one of my favorite books last year, and I just realized, like, wow, this book is so good compared to a lot of the other kind of mystery thrillers that I read. It just feels like a really high quality book, but like I said, it's not like a super easy or fast read. And I'm actually reading a very similar book to The God of the Woods right now. It's called Heartwood. It's another story about a woman disappearing in the forest, and we have this female investigator who's looking for her. I think I'll do a comparison video between the two because this one is much shorter than The God of the Woods, so maybe people can kind of like choose one or the other. Okay, the next prompt is Eggs in a Basket, 3 books you want to read this spring. You guys, I have so many books I'm waiting for on Libby, but I will just show you like a couple of them that just come to mind. There is this book, don't judge me. I like reading weird stuff. It's called Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. Okay, just listen to this tiny part of the synopsis. Linda knows that she can't tell anyone she's sexually obsessed with planes, nor can she reveal her belief that it's her destiny to marry one of her suitors, uniting with her soulmate plane for eternity. But when an opportunity arises to hasten her dream of eternal partnership and the carefully balanced elements of her life begin to spin out of control, she must choose between maintaining the trappings of normalcy and launching herself headlong toward the love she's always dreamed of. Okay, so that sounds so crazy, and I just have to read it. Apparently, it's like very funny lit fic. It's not like a typical sentient romance. Another book I really want to read is called Eurotrash. I think the cover is what stood out to me at first. And then I read the synopsis and I just requested it on Libby and it's now available. This is a story by a German author and it's about this guy who goes to pick up his mom from a mental institution. She's like 80 and apparently her dad was like somehow associated with the Nazis and they feel really guilty about it. So they decide to travel all over Switzerland with like their huge fortune in a plastic bag and they're just like giving it out to random people. I imagine trying to feel better about themselves. It just sounds really strange. Apparently, it's very good. So I will definitely check that out. And another book I want to read this spring is called Stop Me If You've Heard This One by Kristen Arnett. And this is supposed to be like some like lesbian clown. It's supposed to be really funny. She like falls in love with this magician. It's set in Florida, and I think they make some kind of show together. But it just sounds really fun. And I watched this interview with the author, and now I'm like pumped up to read it. The next prompt is called Green Pastures, a classic that never gets old. I don't read a lot of books over and over again. Like, I can't really think of the last time I picked up like an old book and reread it, except for maybe The Secret Garden. And I just thought, wow, like, I remember liking the movie so much more than the book. So, a book that I actually like to reread whenever I go to my parents' house is like this children's book. It's called Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. And every time I pick it up, I'm like, wow, like I had amazing taste when I was a kid because the illustrations, like I still think that they are amazing. It's about this little mouse and she gets this cool purse and she brings it to school and she's like such a diva, like, look at my purse, it's so cool. And she gets it confiscated and she learns some life lessons. But it's just a lot of fun if you ever need a good children's book. The last prompt is called Pollen, a book or author you're allergic to. Oh my gosh, I know exactly which one it is. It's You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. Okay, I feel bad like trashing this book, but sometimes you just have to. This is like the worst book I've ever read. I hated it. Okay, and that is the end of this video. I'll do some tags in the comments if anyone else wants to do this video. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks to the creators for making this tag. And Tishka and I will see you next time. Bye!